We're live! Hi, everyone. Welcome to another live reality game shows podcast. I'm here with everybody's favorite runner-up, everyone's favorite merge brew, and everybody's favorite point 0.5 host of Survivor Michigan, Nick. Nick, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. I know you said you had a busy week this week.
Yeah, I've been busy helping people move and live in life, but we're here. We're ready to dive into everything.
Yeah, I think I have to get the big question out of the way. Why did you not play the idol?
I honestly think I just choked. I went into tribal knowing something was going wrong, and by the end of tribal, I looked over, waited for Sam. Sam was wearing like this weird fake, or I think he was wearing one of Jackson's fake idols, and they were all doing dramatics throughout tribal. So I thought Sam was like gonna get up and like go play his fake idol and pretend like he thinks he's going home and all of this jazz. And so I was gonna wait for him, and so I like sat there waiting, and then he did nothing, and then Brady started reading the votes, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't do anything, so let's hope it's not me." Um, but yeah, I don't know what I would have done even if I did get up and play it. I think I went into tribal with the concept of like maybe if I go up there and just like pretend like I'm playing it for myself, I can gauge other people's reactions. And then based off of other people's reactions, decide if I'm playing it or saving it next week. Because I knew it was like me or Sarah. I just like felt that like gut feeling. I was like, something's going wrong. It's probably me or Sarah. But like if it's not me this week, then I have to use it next week. That was the thinking. It was like, do I think I'm going home or do I think they're gonna pick Sarah first? And I hadn't fully decided what I was gonna do with it when I went into tribal. I just was gonna like fake play it and then gauge reactions. But then I did nothing. So I went home.
It's kind of like you were just like blank in mind for a moment. It's like you were off in your own head, and next thing you know, you got snapped back to reality. It's like, oh, Brady's like halfway reading the votes.
Yeah, no, that's exactly like what happened. It was like I think I was just so over analyzing everything that by the time Brady was like started reading the votes, I was like, oh fuck, like that was the time I was supposed to do something. And then as soon as I saw my name, I was like, there it goes, there I am. That's me.
Yeah, and how did you know? Like, what gave you the feeling that it was potentially you in danger? Because from what we could tell in the edit, and these people being good liars, which to their credit, we've seen the past seasons. What gave you the feeling like, okay, something's up, I might be going home and I might need this idol?
So I will say this happened years ago. So I don't know all of the details that really like made me feel that way. But I know one of the big ones was like Sam just wasn't really trying that hard to save himself. And maybe he was trying really hard with Bailey and them, but he wasn't trying hard with like me and Sarah. And I even talked to Sarah about it the other day after we watched the episode. And we were talking about how like Sarah distinctly remembered a time when she messaged our group chat, our Odawa group chat, which had Bailey and Cooper. And she was like, yeah, Sam's not like reaching out to us or anything. He's not really like scrambling. And then, like, moments later, Sam then messaged her to meet up. And we were just thinking, like, oh, Bailey's like telling him or doing something. So we knew like something was up, but we didn't fully like have enough details to really know why something was up or what was really happening. And I think at the time it was just a lot of like Sam wasn't scrambling, and Sam's not someone who goes down easy. And then I think it was weird that we were trying so hard to split it, and all of this other stuff. It was just like weird feelings around like who was talking to who and why people weren't trying hard enough. And I just read it that way of like we're probably like something's going wrong. I just don't know who it's going to be on fully.
Yeah, I mean, I have no perception of the game, and I'm just instantly told what I'm like. Somebody tells me this person going home, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I just fully believe people because it's like they have no reason to lie.
yeah. See,
And
I
it's this,
I feel like I believe people too, but I don't know. Something was just clearly up, and after I think I was also just like on edge because I had just blindsided Cooper and Bailey. So I knew getting in their good graces again would have been, like taken some time. So I think I was just like on edge and paying attention to like if or what could go wrong the entire time.
yeah, because you mentioned it, the whole Jesse blindside in that big double two-part or cliffhanger tribal council, where apparently voting Jesse was like the ultimate betrayal of Bailey and Cooper's trust. Like,
Yeah, I
how can
don't.
you not save a girl you probably had zero conversations with?
Yeah, that's actually a fair point because I don't think I did have a single like one-on-one conversation with Jesse. But then they were like asking me to take out Jackson, who I did have conversations with and I actually really enjoyed. But yeah, I don't know. It was like going into it, everyone knew Bailey would be really upset. We assumed we could like keep good graces with Cooper, but we thought taking out Jesse over Leia would be like, okay, well, it's just like a side character in the grand scheme of like everyone's connections. Like she's less connected, so maybe it won't be as big of a deal, but it ended up being one of the biggest deals we could have done. So
I think in Cooper's case, he would have been fine if his name wasn't written down.
yeah, that's
Like, I
true.
think I think if Lucy just didn't vote for him, then he probably wouldn't have been as upset because I don't think he really cared that much about Jesse either. Because I
Yeah.
don't even think they had a conversation from what we could tell. But yeah, Bailey was not happy, to put things mildly.
Yeah, no, you guys didn't even get the full extent of it. I don't know what happened with the producers and the cameras, but like there was like a whole hour-long period between like tribal and the next challenge where it was like dark, wet, rainy. Everyone's like upset. Bailey was literally like probably crying and like I don't know if she was throwing up, but she was at least crying behind a bush. Noah had to console her at some point because Noah was around. It was absolutely insane. And I knew like going into, and we weren't merging. So going into that immunity challenge, I was like, if we lose, I'm like fucked. I'm like so done because you could just read it off of Cooper, Bree, and Bailey. I don't know if Bree was as mad, but like Cooper and Bailey were definitely like very upset about it in the moment. So God, it was stressful and I don't know. I think in some ways that was like the move that ended my game, but in other ways it's also like I I don't know what other like was I supposed to just let people kind of run my game for me for a few? I don't know.
No, because honestly, I remember when we filmed the All Star Draft podcast, I was looking at the entire cast, and your name was the one where I was like, no one's really pissed off at Nick. So I see him going very far because you were my winner pick. And, well, and my merge boot pick just happened to be Megan, the girl who won immunity. So I'm like, I'm doing great in this draft. Because it did look like Sarah was getting most of the blame for the Jesse boot, and then you and Andrew were just kind of like in the background, being like, eh.
Yeah. And I think that's like a fair assumption too, is that I do think Sarah got most of the blame, and I think somehow Andrew got like the least of the blame. I think it's because he like argued about the fact that he knew it wasn't going to merge after, and so I was like in the middle there where people were like, "Why'd you do it?" And I was like, "Well, it made sense for my game, but also I didn't mean to blindside you." So like they were still mad at me, but I don't know. It was weird. I think Bailey still held a grudge that I didn't tell her. I think Cooper like eventually just was like whatever, and then you saw that he didn't fully want to flip, but ended up flipping because Bailey and Emily were. But I don't. I think Cooper got over it, and I just think Bailey was consistently upset and feeling like she can't trust anyone who blindsided her.
Yeah, you blindside her once, and she's like, "You're dead to me." I mean, in Bailey's credit, she didn't. She hasn't made it that far. Like in her first season, she got
Yeah.
out right at the swap, so she doesn't know what merge is supposed to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense from her part too. Like, if someone blindsided me like that, I would be upset. I went into it not wanting to blindside them. I was actively telling Andrew and Bailey that, like, or Andrew and Sarah, that if we're doing it, we're gonna like tell them, even if it's last minute. Like, we need to tell them. But we had a whole plan where we would tell them on like the car ride up and up to tribal, and Cooper ended up going in a different car. So then it's just me, Bailey's boyfriend, Sarah, and Andrew, and everyone there would be absolutely pissed off if I said anything. And so I just kept my mouth shut because I was like 5 minutes before tribal. I was panicking. I was like, there's no way this is about to happen. Is this really about to happen? I didn't think this was going to go through. Like, I didn't even think we were going to be able to like have the vote split in a way where we could save Jackson. I thought that was such a long shot by itself that I didn't even think we would get to the point where we fully needed to tell Bailey and Cooper, because I just didn't think it was fully going to happen. And then by the time all the dominoes like started falling, I was like, there's no way to like stop this from going. And I just jumped on and went along for the ride.
I mean, you're probably thinking there's like, oh, everything that I wanted to happen for the best thing did actually happen. Huh, I don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like, you saw how pissed Bailey was, or how upset Bailey was afterwards. I can't imagine what she would have done if we said it before. And she claims that she would have been okay with it and would have just been, or she would have been mad. But I think she probably would have said something.
I mean, she's mad at Sarah for writing down her name when she's never written down her name. She's maybe considered it, but she's never actually put parchment to paper Bailey.
Yeah.
Everyone who wrote down her name went home.
I know Bailey is an emotional player, but I love Bailey, but she is just someone who will hold a grudge. Like, if your name is ever on her lips, it's done, immediately done. So yeah, because she always held a grudge with Sarah, and I don't know if it was fully the entire time, but she held a grudge with Sarah because of her working with Emily early on, and Emily saying Bailey's name. And it was just like, it's to some extent, it's like, oh, whose name was Sarah supposed to say on that tribe? Like, she didn't know anyone. She wasn't close with Bailey. She was close with Emily, and Emily was pushing Bailey. So like, what else was she supposed to do?
I don't know, just constantly say Tom even though he's been voted off.
Yeah, just keep going with it.
I mean, well, Bailey does eventually get over grudge. I mean, I hear her and Maggie are now like inseparable, and we all remember the infamous steal the bacon.
Yeah, that is true. I think Bailey after the game is able to very easily separate. I think during the game it's like she's just so on edge and worried about going home. I think she's like, no, if you cross me, you're dead. Like, we're done. You know how like the confessional where Cooper's like, oh, I'm buying body bags? That's Bailey. That's actually Bailey. Cooper says it, Bailey means it.
Yeah. Cooper's buying the body bags, Bailey's putting them to use.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very like Abby Maria from Actual Survivor, where it's like, once you say my name, you're dead to me.
Yeah.
She does get very like Abby vibes. Abby Maria, not season 2 Abby.
Yeah. It's so fun to watch though. Bailey as a character is amazing.
Oh, she's entertaining as hell.
Yeah. I love it. It's like, I don't think she's not even a bad player necessarily. No. She blabs a lot. She does say everything. She shares everything. But I think like strategically, like her mindset is there. She understands like kind of who she needs to align with and like who she needs to target and things like that. So I do think she has like that on her mind, especially in All Stars after the whole Kevin debacle in season 2. She was like, she learned from it and was like, okay, no, I need to align with normal people. But it is still like she just talks so much that it gets her into trouble.
She just loves the amount of people she's just meeting and passing.
For real, literally everyone. I just constantly.
I'm finding Bailey very entertaining this season, and she definitely has good aspects of the game and bad. No one's a perfect player. But the fact that she can create a 7-person alliance and then turn on that 7-person alliance to make another 7-person alliance, that has to take some skill.
Yeah. No, she was going into the game. I don't know if a lot of people saw her as a threat, but she ended up being a big threat. And even going into merge, I think everyone kind of like knew she was talking to a lot of people and had a lot of connections. I don't know if anyone really necessarily saw her flipping and working with Sam. Like that seemed like a stretch going into merge because she was so anti Sam and Sam's trio. I guess now Sam's duo with Sam and AJ. But going into it, going into merge, it was like people saw that she was well connected, but everyone also was like, well, she's connected to me. So she ends up being able to be this big threat, but also still have so many connections. It's crazy.
I think she has a connection with pretty much everyone on the season. Well,
Yeah.
on the tribe, not the season.
Yeah. She's connected with Cooper, Emily, Bree, Leia. She is now working with Sam and AJ. She was connected with Kevin, even though she didn't want to be. She didn't really have a connection with Megan. But
And then she has a connection with original Dawa, with Andrew. Maybe not as much Sarah, but still something.
Yeah.
So really only Megan?
Yeah, really only Megan. I don't know how close she is with Adam at this time. But I think the two people who are like lowest on her list are Sarah and Megan, and both of them were like, okay, well, we'll still work with your alliance. Like they didn't really have any other options but to work with Bailey anyways.
I mean, Megan didn't care. She was safe. She was just like,
exactly. Megan's like, whatever happens, happens.
I wanted my first immunity. Which, congrats to, like, that's like a classic immunity challenge, like hold something above your head.
Yeah.
And this time you gotta play for an advantage. Did you consider playing for the advantage, or was it like, nope, just gonna go straight for immunity?
I think I just went straight for immunity. I figured getting an advantage would only put a target on my back. And I knew going into this first merge vote after everything that happened with Jesse, I was trying to like divert the target again because I knew coming into the game I had a target, and so bringing the target back up after the Jesse vote when people are upset with me, I was like, no, I need to do anything I can to lower it. So I would like, I want to go for immunity. Even if I win immunity, that's fine. It's not going to make me like a big threat. It will just keep me safe for the week. But I knew if I like won the advantage, then all eyes would be on me, and I did not want that at all.
Yeah, and that advantage was not going to help you.
No. And good thing I didn't go for it because I don't think it would have been a good advantage for me anyways. I don't think I would have used it well, and I don't know. I don't know. The advantage isn't great.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good advantage in general.
Yeah.
Like, so for people wondering, the advantage that Emily B won, so she potentially has 2, we still don't know about this whole Pringle idol, is once she's voted off, she can cast a vote at the next tribal, which is, not really that good, because you don't know how the dynamics work. I think that it would work if she could like sit in, watch tribal, then cast a vote, maybe. But the fact that it's like immediately after you're voted off, you know nothing. It's just pretty much giving somebody a penalty vote, and if they win the immunity, then it just goes away.
Yeah. I don't know. I get the concept for it fitting with the theme, so I'm not gonna like. It's also not like a bad twist in the sense of like it's adding anything negative to the game. But it's just like I don't think it's adding really anything like exciting. It could have some effect in some scenarios, but it's like it's hard to use, and by the time you're like, the biggest thing is just like making people afraid to vote you or vote you in an obvious way. So then people are just going to go behind your back and vote you, so that you don't like spite them. So I don't know. I don't know if it really, like, if I got it, I would just be like, oh, this is the waste. I wouldn't know what to do with it. I would just be like, okay, well, this isn't helping me until I'm out, but I guess I can be bitter, which I would thrive to be bitter, but
I mean, you get the chance to be bitter on the jury.
yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, I don't know if you have experience with bitter jury members. I don't know if that's something you're familiar with.
I don't know. After season 2, I think maybe a little bit, maybe a little.
Just a little. I mean, you and Mallory are the Aubrey and Michelle of Survivor Michigan. People to this day still argue which one of you two should have won.
I know, it's crazy. I feel the same exact way of like, even after the season, I was like, it is Aubrey versus Michelle. Is it the social winner, the more strategic winner? Like, who's the better one here? And I can't say after that season of Real Survivor, I was telling people that I understand and think Michelle was the better winner. So I can't as much as I also feel like I deserve to win in season 2. I do also feel like Mallory did what she needed to do to win. So I can't completely argue against their points, but it is fun to mess around with. So.
I mean, you went on a 5-minute rant on why Mallory did deserve to win. Granted, it was for a challenge, but still.
Yeah, I mean, like as a Survivor viewer, like I understand why and how she won. So it is what it is, and people will still argue it, and I'll still argue it either way. I'll be devil's advocate no matter what. So
just throwing a comment in there, being like, if I won, things would be different, and then just see the comments just go crazy.
Yeah, they'll
like you have some diehard defenders. Like Naomi, I don't know if you're watching. She's like the biggest Nick stan that I know because she will constantly bring up the fact. Just to let you know, Nick should have won season 2.
I love Naomi.
So back to Michigan, I feel like every vote you've been a part of, except the Tom vote, you had like a chance to make a big decision. Because the Emily vote, you could have changed the game to vote off Andrew. The Aaron vote, I think, was another big one. It's like, do you choose Team Aaron or Team Sam? And then obviously the Jesse vote. We kind of went through the Jesse vote a little. Let's go back to, I think, probably the biggest one would be you deciding to team up with Sam, Adam, and Lucy to get rid of Aaron and Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, I think going into that week, I was pretty conflicted. And I think the edit showed how conflicted I was. And I think it was beyond just me being conflicted, me, Bree, and Sarah were all like back and forth the entire week. I think we even were like sending a message like an hour before Tribal or so, where Bree like sent us a message being like, wait, so the plan is to vote Aaron, right? Like we decided that like with like still an hour before we were still double checking we were all on the same page. But it was a hard one for me because I think I went into the game feeling closer with Aaron than I did with Sam. But I grew to really trust Sam by that point. And I think me and him had a really good relationship once we got on the swap tribe. And I was also just feeling like I was low on people's trust list, essentially. Like I knew I had a lot of connections because I had a lot of friends in the game and people who I was working with and talking to just generally and casually. So I knew I had a lot of connections, but I knew also that they all had someone like above me. And I was really worried about that. So I was trying to figure out like, how do I get closer to people, or at least get the other people to target each other before they start like just thinking I'm disposable. And so I went into that vote trying to figure that out, and I landed on voting out Aaron because she was so close with Cooper. I knew they were ride or dies. I knew if she stays in the game and she teams up with Cooper, that Cooper will always choose her. She will always choose Cooper. And I think I misjudged how much she would like ride for me. That like there were so many things that were like on my mind that for some reason that one just kind of like I overlooked it. But I also wanted to keep the trio of Sam, Lucy, and Adam in the game because I figured if those three are there, they will always be a huge target. And for at least a round or two, that would allow like Bailey and Cooper to stick with me to target them. So it was just my way of like trying to get Bailey and Cooper closer to me. And I don't know if it ended up working because then the next vote I blindside Bailey and Cooper, but that was the concept that was in my head when I was going through it all.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those moments where you look back on, it's like, oh, if I voted off, let's say you went with the plan to vote off Lucy, then Lucy wouldn't have been an option in the double tribal, and then maybe they would have had to pick someone else like Jesse, and they would have been okay with it, and then maybe you could have had Aaron, Cooper, Bailey, and all those people with the merge to not vote you off.
Yeah.
Because every time I talk to Aaron, she constantly goes like, I would die for Nick. I would die twice for Cooper, which I'm still trying to figure out what that means.
It means she's just insanely loyal to both of us. But she would slightly pick Cooper over me, but that doesn't mean she would ever try to get either of us out. I think it's that. But yeah,
and
go ahead.
Oh no, ahead. You can go ahead. I don't know what I was about to say.
Oh, but yeah, there is a lot of like butterfly effects there where if we would have voted out Lucy, I think it would have been okay. And I think in some aspects, like Aaron would have fought for me to stay. It would have been harder for Bailey and Cooper to flip. Even if like something went wrong at the double tribal, it would have been harder for Bailey and Cooper to flip because Aaron would have been there like trying to work with me. So there is like some aspect of like, oh, well, there is a chance I actually keep everyone together by keeping Aaron because she'll fight for me. But there's also the concept of like, maybe if Lucy isn't there, like Sarah ends up going home because they were going to blindside Sarah. They were considering blindsiding Sarah. And I think at that time, if Lucy's not an option and they don't have 2 easy votes, they would take out Sarah before they take out
Aaron.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Jesse or someone.
Exactly. So there is like a back and forth. There is no real like very clear way, but I do see there are some like, I wouldn't say regrets, but there are some considerations when I run the what ifs that happen after every game. That is one of the what ifs of like, what if I kept Aaron? Would I have been able to like get more people on my side with that? Would I have been able to get closer with Cooper and Bailey because of that? Or would it have made me even more disposable? I was playing with fear of being disposable, but I think it could have gone the other way if I kept her too. So I don't know. It's hard to fully say.
Yeah, it's one of those many what ifs. Like, what if we didn't blindside Jesse? What if we kept Tom in this game?
Yeah.
And not given probably the worst track record in Michigan history, being voted off within the first 2 tribals 3 times if we're counting the 0.5 season.
Yeah. It is crazy. I think this game has so many what ifs. And that's more than just for me. I think for everyone, there's a ton of what ifs because it's been like, despite the fact that it does seem like there's major connections that are controlling things, it is very like fluid. There is a lot of like things changing. Like, what if Sam never said Tom Blue thing, or what if Sam never said or warned Tom about anything? Does Emily still stay? It's just like so many little things have like changed the game in drastic ways that it's hard to like fully picture or understand what would happen if in the butterfly effect something changed.
Yeah, like what if Cooper wasn't the host? Would he have this many connections? What if 4.5 never happened? Will people know that Tom was considering blackmailing people? Which,
yeah. Well, if 4.5 never happened, maybe I'm not scared of Aaron because in 4.5, Aaron and Cooper are so tight that I'm like, I know that going into season 5.
Yeah, and Aaron did just get runner-up in that season.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, what was it again? It was like Chloe won, Aaron was second, one of the Emilys was third. I want to say it was B, and then Dylan was fourth.
Yep, exactly.
I feel like I knew way too much about 4.5 without you guys releasing that video from what people have told me.
Yeah. I forgot most of 4.5, so props to you if you remembered a lot of it.
It's only like that little bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of 4.5, would you say that kind of helped your game a little, being like, okay, I'm going to host a Survivor like event to see how these people play a Survivor game and
Yeah.
like kind of get hints of their strategy?
Yeah. I don't think I wasn't doing it for that reason, but it definitely did help. And I think it also helped me connect with some people because it allowed me just to like casually talk to these people over the summer and just get to know them. So like I was already kind of close with Aaron, but I got closer to Aaron over that summer. I think that was like I was less involved in season 4, but I was still like talking to Adam at that time over the summer. So I was able to like not only witness people's games, but also create relationships with people I not necessarily would have had. And I do know like it never ended up showing or mattering, but it was on my mind because like even 2.5, we saw Sarah blindside someone who like completely trusted her, which
Oh,
was she blindsided
Katie.
Katie while they were drinking live on like camera, like they were right next to each other. So I knew going into the game Sarah was cutthroat, and I didn't worry about it at the moment, but I was like in my head I was thinking late game I was like I know Sarah's gonna try something. Like I have to keep an eye out for Sarah. Like I love her to death, and I would have tried to still go really far with her, but I knew at some point she was going to try to flip something. And you could even see it like in one of her confessionals this last episode. She did mark me as one of the people she would never beat. So it was on her mind, but like just we weren't far enough along for her to do that yet. But I was
Yeah,
definitely very nervous about it.
maybe she need to be at your house drinking to vote you off. Maybe that's her thing. It's like, I have to be in the room with someone to blindside them.
Sarah just plays such a ruthless game. I believe like if Sarah ever felt like it was me versus her, she would throw me under the river so fast. And I wouldn't blame her. I would totally get it, but it's just so funny to me. She's such a great character, and I'm so glad she got to play again.
Yeah, I'm so happy we get to see more of Sarah, since we didn't really get to see that much of her in season 1 for reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just for some reason, the edit didn't show her a lot throughout
Yeah.
the season. And that was such a fun video to watch. Like, the whole Brie having a crush on Cooper thing. And then the birth of Sarah's Cooper obsession.
Yeah, really.
A lot of Cooper obsessions came out of 2.5.
Yeah. I mean, for fair reason. Cooper was very like against online people and then flipped on all of his allies and then still lost the game. So Cooper is a robot. Cooper is a snake and a robot.
A snaky robot. That has to be a thing somewhere. We'll make that happen. Oh, I was going to ask something and I completely forgot. Oh yeah, you mentioned you kind of built a relationship with Adam. We kind of saw this episode you two be a weirdly what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say positive duo, but you were just like an all of a sudden duo with like the whole idol clue situation. Do you want to go into detail about that?
Yes. So it wasn't like intentional, the idol clue hunting. It was just one of those things where everyone else left and me and Adam both knew we were going to like try to figure out something of like how to get rid of this clue or like how to figure out the clue. We were sitting there stewing and waiting for people to leave before then, and then I think we both just like kind of looked at each other like nodded, knew both of us were going to stay there, and just kind of decided to do that. But me and Adam get along very well, so it was just super natural for us to do that. We stayed up for hours scratching out clues, just hanging out and talking. And I do think we got really close. I think I was very shocked when I heard later that Adam was one of the people who at their meeting was trying to take me out over Sarah. because I felt like going into the whole tribal situation, even if he wasn't voting with me and I wasn't voting with him, I was actively trying to work with him in the future. I don't know if it was like, I don't know how clear I made it to him, but in my head I was trying to be like, hey, like, yeah, your and Sam's name are out there, like we all know that, but like don't worry. I was like trying to hint at him like, you're fine, just don't stress, like you'll be okay. Because in my mindset, what I was going to do later was probably flip with him and Bree and like some of the people on the bottom, like Kevin or Sarah, is where my head was. So I was hoping we could just get out Sam and then like work with Adam in the future. So I don't know. I think there was a miscommunication there. I think Adam is an emotional player, so he didn't want Sam leaving. And I also just don't think I made it clear enough to him that I was like actively trying to work with him. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of merit to the concept of like, maybe I should have just told him straight up what was happening. And then we could have just like correlated, because I've talked with Sam and he said that Sam said that him and Adam wanted to work with me and Sarah more than he wanted to work with Cooper and Bailey. So there is a chance that like
Naturally.
we must have just said something like very clear to Adam and just been like, hey, like what's up? But I just think at that time my head was like, oh well, I can't really flip or do anything yet, but like in a vote or two it'll happen. Like we just
Yeah,
wait.
it's always that thing where it's like, when's the right time to make a move?
Yeah. Yeah.
And speaking of this idol, there was a lot of controversy behind this in many different ways. First off, with the whole who actually said Apollo first for some reason. I looked back on that scene because I was like, I kind of skipped through the beginning of Tribal, so I kind of accidentally skipped you saying it. And when you got the clue, I was like, huh? He didn't say the word. Then I looked back and they were like, Apollo G.
Yeah.
And then everyone's just like, he didn't say it. Adam should have got it. It's like, he did say it. He just put a gap. No one said it had to be straightly the word Apollo.
Yeah. And like, I went into it knowing that was my plan. And so I did warn production that I was going to do it because I didn't know how strict or annoying they would be with the rules. And they were like, well, they essentially didn't like fully confirm it, but they were like, as long as it's like clear enough, as long as you're clearly saying Apollo, like it'll work. So I did warn them. I like tried to give them an example to get like confirmation, but they didn't give me full confirmation. But it was like one of those things where I was like, okay, well, I will very clearly say Apollo, then re-say Apollo G's. Like I made it feel like I stumbled on the word so I could like separate it. And even after I said it, I remember I saw production like in the background, like whispering to like confirm. And I don't think everyone knew that was happening, but it was just like a little bit of like, I saw like Chloe like double check with someone or something along those lines. And so I knew people were like talking to make sure like what I did was okay. But yeah, I went into it knowing that I knew at least the person who scratched out the clue knew about it, and I knew that Adam knew about it. So I was like, the only way I can get it is if I say it first, and the only way I say it first is if I say it right away, because other people are fighting for it. So like, that's the only move I can really make, is I have to say it immediately, or else I'm not getting it.
Yeah, and everyone was coming up with the most convoluted ways to say the word Apollo. Like, Adam's talking about Apollo 13. Cooper's thinking about getting drunk and randomly say it. You just simply just thought of a word that had the word Apollo already in it.
Yeah. It was just, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't even think I really needed to be clever about it, because I knew other people, like, my mindset going in was, it's a public idol. People are going to know about it. Everyone's like, I'm using it this week or next week. Even if I like wasn't in danger, I think I would have been like, I'm using it this week or next week, just because I don't want the target of having an idol on my back. But I knew it was going to be public, so I don't even know like fully why my mindset was like, oh, I have to make it hidden, because I knew everyone would know about it anyways. But still, like going through that whole Apollo 13 story, I did not understand. I was like, I was lost. I was confused. I didn't fully get it, but Yeah.
If I was in that situation, I probably would have thought something be like, well, I wanted to name the tribe like Apollo or something like that, but everyone was just like Scallywag, which no offense, you guys, not a good tribe name.
I don't think we came up with a good one either, but we
No.
just went with it.
Yeah, pirate theme. And then another controversy with the idol was the whole scratching out the idol clue situation, like putting Sharpie over it.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Yeah.
And one, I don't know why people haven't thought of doing that in other seasons. And maybe it's just because it's All Stars, people are taking it a lot more seriously and kind of willing to bend the rules. Because nobody ever like scratches out an idol clue when they find. Well, to be fair, they find it and they don't really hide it. So, what do you guys think about that in the moment? The whole, oh, let's put Sharpie over the clue so nobody else can read it.
Oh, I was fuming when I saw Sharpay. Like, if you ask any of the producers, I'm sure I could pull up the chat somewhere, but I was pretty much screaming at them over text, but screaming at them nonetheless. I was so mad about it because it very clear they didn't scratch out the part that said the clue has to stay here. They scratched out everything else. So I was like, it very clearly says like the clue has to stay here. Like the point of it is that it's supposed to be here for everyone to see. Like what is going like this is just blatantly cheating in my head it was cheating, but I also understand like there are loopholes around it. I think it was just poor planning on production's part of the way they distributed the clue and the clue itself. I think because they gave it to Emily as an advantage, and the fact that it was the Apollo idol, it made Emily's advantage pretty much irrelevant if they weren't allowed to scratch it out. But yeah, so I think the combination of like having the advantage and having it be the Apollo idol were bad together. But I think if they were done separately, then don't scratch it out and it'll be fine, or something like that. Does that make sense? I might have worded that weird.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get what you mean. The fact that it was an idol where you needed to say certain words, like the current 41, 42, 43 seasons,
Yeah,
and the fact that everyone was going to eventually know about it, it didn't really make her advantage any better because you could think of it like, oh, it's 24 hours to find an idol, but the fact that it's an idol that's going to be given to you at at a fixed point, then it doesn't really help at all. If it was
yeah,
like a completely separate idol, for example,
yeah,
like when seasons do like an Edge of not an Edge of Extinction, an Exile Island idol with the regular tribal idols. If it was
yeah.
something like that, then it would have made a better advantage. But the fact that it was just the Apollo idol, yeah, that kind of does not help.
Yeah, exactly. That's where my head's at. Where if it was like or not Edge, uh, Exile. If it was Exile, where it was like, oh, a bunch of clues leading to other clues, I think scratching it off doesn't make sense at all. I think that would be cheating. But at least the 24 hours would matter. It would give Emily like 24 hours to actually find it before anyone else got to look, which is fair. But because it was Apollo and she could only get it at tribal council, by the time everyone got the clue, or by the time tribal happened, everyone would have known about it if it wasn't scratched off. So I think it's fair. It ended up being good TV. I just think production kind of messed up with combining both of those.
Yeah, production's been getting a lot of heat recently, especially after the last interview I've had with a past contestant.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was revealed, to go back a couple of episodes to the first scandal of All Stars, the whole Abby Gate situation. It was revealed that it was revealed by Jackson, but not by production, that you also knew
Yeah.
prior to around that. Care to give us your take on what happened at that point?
Yeah. So like I wasn't really that involved with anything in that kind of sphere. But I did hear about it pretty quickly after, because I think I think Abby told Bailey, and then Bailey just would like told me right away or something along those lines. I don't fully remember exactly what happened, but it was like before production had ever set any rules in place of like what to do with this information. I think Bailey was just like, "Oh my god, like, I just found this out. And then very quickly after, production was like, well, you guys can't share that. Don't let it go out anywhere. Don't talk to anyone about it. And so we kind of just shut it down immediately. Bailey didn't share it any further. In fact, I like completely forgot Bailey had even told me before, because soon after, Megan tells Sam tells Cooper. And once Sam tells Cooper, because Sam got the information from Megan, it allowed us to use that information because he got it fairly in game. And fairly is also in quotes because obviously Megan had like an impossible decision to make. And so clearly she's not going to trust that people are going to keep it quiet. I don't blame her for that. But because it came from an inside the game source instead of from Abby, it allowed us to finally talk about it. So yeah, that was kind of the mishap, or that's kind of where the situation came from there. For me, it didn't affect anything. I didn't really interact with Megan or Jackson. I didn't have any relationships with them going into season 5. So the first time you see me even talking to either of them is that first swap with Aaron. That's the first time I ever talked to Jackson. And I still hadn't talked to Megan at that point. So for me, it was literally like I heard the information and then just like whatever. It just kind of went under the radar until a few weeks later.
Yeah. So for those of you that are watching that are still blaming production and somehow saying they're rigging the season for someone, I think they're saying they're rigging it for Cooper, but it's actually the opposite. They're trying to rig it to get Cooper out. He found out about it like a minute after Bailey found out from someone in the game, and it wasn't for game purposes.
Yeah.
So leave production alone. They're doing their best. They're college people, for God's sake.
Yeah. It definitely was a mishap. It definitely is a mishap that Abby found out, or Abby told Bailey. I think that was the whole issue. But I don't think production. I think production should have had stricter rules on it for sure, of who they can share things with, if they can share things at all. But it wasn't like I don't think Bailey's boyfriend was trying to give her an advantage or anything like that. It was just literally like people would talk to their friends or people who would ask questions about it. They would typically know information. You even see like in some of the merge episodes, you'll probably see a few people who are already on the season around, because I think we let Akshay like come back and watch like challenges or tribals and stuff too. So they were still involved. We just all thought like everyone would just respect the game, and then Abby didn't respect the game and told information to other people. So it ended up being bad, and we should have had stricter rules on it, but we just didn't.
Yeah, once again, season 2 bringing all the drama.
Constantly, we got to.
Yeah, you don't even have to be in the game. And I mean, there's a reason why season 2 is my favorite season out of the Michigan ones.
we're just a cast of characters. I love season 2.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely. It's one of the only Survivor seasons I've ever rewatched.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I don't think I've even rewatched seasons of Survivor.
Yeah, I don't rewatch regular seasons. I would rewatch college seasons, but they have to be good seasons for me to rewatch them. Speaking of season 2, that happened to be airing while the season was being out, and judging by the Group 7 meeting that came up to decide between you and Sarah, I think it definitely played an effect on why certain people wanted you out over Sarah. I'm trying to do the calculation maths, but what episode was premiered by the time you got booted by any chance?
I think the episode that had just aired was the Abby vote, which would be the one that right after I got blindsided with Bree leaving. And then the Abby episode is the episode where I win immunity and then start trying to run a whole minority campaign against Sarah, Jack, and Sam. So I do think it played a big effect on the game. I think if we were just like a week quicker and we did all of this before that episode came out, I think there's more people arguing to keep me. But right after that, having it right after that episode and everyone being like, should we blindside Nick's closest ally? It's definitely on their mind. They're definitely like, well, we just watched Nick have a whole episode where his an ally of his got blindsided and he went on a rampage. So we can't have that happen again.
I'm surprised that ally didn't come to defend you while she was in the room.
Well, I'll give Brie credit. She did try. I think I don't know if it was very clear in the edit, but it was 3 votes to vote out Sarah,
and then 4 to vote out for you.
Yeah. So Bailey and Brie were definitely like arguing to keep me safe, but I just don't think they had enough sway in the conversation to do it.
Yeah. Now, I think there was something the 3 of them could have done. It would have been 1, super risky, and 2, pissed off people. But they technically hadn't enough people to split the votes between you and Sarah, because they could put 4 on you, 3 on Sarah, and then it would have been 3 on Sam, 2 on Adam. That could just be me wanting a huge vote split, but it could have been done. And then and then Bailey could have been like, if you have an idol, play it. Like, what? No. Oh, at least we got out someone.
Yeah. Honestly, probably would have been a good move. Even with our vote split, it was like ours obviously seemed like very risky and stupid, but it was just one of those things where we were a group of 8 and someone said, let's split the votes 4 and 4. And if anyone said no, then it's like, oh, you don't trust the group. It was like that's where the vibe was. So I think they were just like, oh, we got to be careful. But I think it could have been a good move. And I will say, I was calling Bailey on my way to Tribal that day. I was like, something's going wrong. Who is most likely to spill who will actually be leaving? And I was like, if anyone's flipping, if there's anyone I can guilt trip right now, it's probably Bailey. Let me give it a shot. So I was calling Bailey like on my way, walking to Tribal. I was like, Bailey, I feel like something's happening. Like, do you know, like, is anything going on? And she's like, no, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. And I was like, fuck. So I got no information. but Brie has told me in the past couple of weeks that like maybe if I called her instead, she probably would have told me. So maybe I called the wrong person.
Yeah, you're like flipping through your contacts. You meant to hit Brie, but you accidentally hit Bailey.
Yeah, it was the wrong call.
I mean, the one time Bailey keeps her mouth shut is the one time you need her to blab about something.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, that episode that was premiering on season 2, that was also the infamous I Could Survive on an Island episode, right?
Oh, yeah, it was.
Damn it, if Lucy only got one... I think it's a curse. Whenever Lucy goes, you have to get the next placement, because she got 3rd, you got 2nd, she got 13th, you got 12th, 10 places later.
Yep, I know.
We love coincidences. I want to ask a quick question, trying to go back to season 2, if you can remember, like, what was that filmed, like 5 years ago at this point?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Let's say by some coincidence you lost that tiebreaker against Sarah X, and you would have been the final juror, and it would have been Lucy, Mallory, and Sarah. Who would you have voted for to win out of those 3?
No doubt in my mind. That was an instant vote for Sarah. Going into final Tribal, I don't think I realized like how connected Mallory was to these people. I just felt like it was a lot of people were trying to just take that Mallory and Lucy to the end as goats. That's how it felt to me going into it, which is why I kind of went into Tribal being like, oh, like I'm good. Like I just was like, oh, everyone was on the same page. Mallory and Lucy just were kind of like the people everyone wanted to sit by. I'm fine. And then I found out very quickly after that it was not like that. But yeah, so I would have easily voted Sarah, and I thought I was actually more shocked by her voting Mallory to win than I was by Sam voting Mallory to win, because for me, Sarah was very clearly trying to get Mallory and Lucy in the end, and she was doing that very early on. And I just caught on to it. Like she was taking out her closest allies of Jack, of Mike, and whatever to get that final 3. And so I thought she would like appreciate the fact that I was working to do the same thing. Like I definitely took, or going into season 2, or during season 2, I was taking advantage of the fact that like I knew she was trying to get that final 3, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll work with Sarah's vote as well to make sure that final 3 happens, but for me instead. And I thought she would. I thought she would recognize that, or at least like give me credit for it. And I think she just thought I got lucky with it, rather than realizing or noticing that like I was actively going for it as well.
Yeah, well, now looking back, how many people have told you, yeah, I would have voted for you?
I don't know. Sarah and Jack have not said that. Sam has said that to me, but I don't know if Sam's meant it. But but I think I think they all at least recognize that I did more than they thought I did during the game. I think afterwards, I think they still agree with their vote for Mallory, but I think afterwards they were like, oh yeah, I didn't realize like how hard you were trying or what all you were doing. Because I think those 3 did write me off during the game. Like I even remember a time when I think it was during the Maggie vote, I was trying to warn Jack that Sarah was trying to get him to like flush his idol. And Jack just asked, Jack said he was super busy and like didn't meet up with me that entire week. And if he would have met up with me, I would have like just shown him like literal like phone conversations with Sarah where Sarah's like, yeah, I'm getting him to like play his idol even though you guys aren't voting for him. And but he ignored me. So they never really got to see my game because they didn't really want to interact with me, and we're just like, oh, Nick's out. Like we need to get him out, and then just kind of like put me on the side. So it happened.
Well, look at y'all now. You and Jack can now share the glory of being a merge boot.
Exactly. No hard feelings. We live, we move on. It's a game. I've played enough. I'm an org person. I've played since I was like 16. This is just another game under my hat.
Yeah, I want to get into orgs. I just can't find any that I'm like really want to try. I've been in a few and I've gotten far, I've gotten not far. I was also a merge boot. At some point, I got idled out and got 1 vote.
Yeah. I don't know. Orgs take a lot of energy that I no longer possess. But growing up, when I was in high school and super introverted and not partying with people, that's what I was doing constantly.
Well, I wasn't playing. I was just watching and writing way too much into it.
I mean, I know I'm not Matthew Israel levels of being able to like tell you about certain seasons, but I am the resident like reality TV show nerd. Like I know pretty much all different types of reality shows, and I've watched most of them. So I can spew off that, but I don't know. I haven't memorized details, but I do love reality shows.
I know stats. Like I can list the season's boot order, vote count, and who else got votes, but tell me like who said this line, I would not know a thing.
Yeah, no. I just know vibes of the seasons. I know the vibes, and I know a bunch of different seasons.
I mean, I saw you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw you rock up that one challenge with like your MTV's challenge looking outfit.
Oh yeah, my mom got me that for Christmas. Wait.
Oh, don't tell me you actually have it.
I also have my 18th birthday. I was away on vacation. With like I was in church at that time. But I was with a youth group for vacation, but on my 18th birthday, I came back and my mom had like cleaned up my room and turned it into an HOH room for like Big Brother. So like I have like this little HOH thing from that. She got me a robe, like put like pictures of my family, gave me like a HOH basket. Like this is an obsession. Like if there's anything you should take out of this, it's that I am insanely passionate about reality TV game shows. And I know it's such a weird niche, and I am awful at trivia, but if you pull out reality TV game show stuff, I am on it. I'm loving it.
I'm kind of like that as well, because I went through a phase where like I wanted to watch like every reality show. Like I wanted to watch Survivor, and once I got that Big Brother, The Challenge, Are You the One?
One is so good.
Top Model. What's another American MasterChef? I'm just trying to think of like competition American shows.
Yeah, I've watched the niche ones. King of the Nerds,
Oh, I
amazing.
loved
Love
that.
King of the Nerds is so fucking funny. I'm sad it's not airing anymore, but it's so good. Twinning was a one season show. I don't remember on what fucking channel, but that was a really good show. That was like twins in separate houses, but they were like competing together. Amazing show, so much drama.
Get the Nolan twins on.
I think the twins who won that season ended up going on America's Next Top Model as like competing against each other. It was a really good show. I would recommend it if anyone's ever looking for just a random one season offshoot.
I wonder if that was Amanda and Michelle. They're the only twins
No,
I know that are on Top Model.
It was Sean and Claire.
Oh, do not recognize those names.
That, but they were out recently, so if you watched it a while ago. But like, yeah, I've watched Big Brother Australia a few seasons. I've watched most of Big Brother Canada. Like, absolutely.
I exclusively only watched Big Brother Canada.
As you should.
I tried getting
the US sucks, but Big Brother Canada top tier.
Yeah. I got in at the worst time to watch Big Brother US. My first Big Brother US, 19. Ooh. So not a good season.
The one I've watched since I was a kid, but the one that I got like invested in was Big Brother 14, which was a good
coach season.
Yeah, that one I was like 15, 16 years old, so I was staying up every night watching Big Brother After Dark because I wasn't paying for live feeds because I was too cheap and broke. But I was watching and recording 3-hour episodes of live feeds at night, and I would literally just like the next day just sit in my bed playing video games on like my phone or something while it just played in the background for 3 hours every day, like all summer. It was obsessions.
I mean, it's a good season. You got Janelle, you got Brittany, you got Dan, you got Ian. I don't think there was any other. What else do you need?
It was fantastic season. Would recommend. Yeah. But would recommend Big Brother Canada season 2 or 5 first.
Oh, season 2. Netta was robbed.
Netta was so robbed, but amazing content.
Season 2 what's my personal favorite? I love I think Big Brother 3, Canada 3 was one of my favorite. I know it's like people question some of the twists.
Yeah.
And Big Brother Canada 6 has my favorite winner out of the Canada season. There's something flying in front of me.
6 is
that was Heaven and Hell.
Oh, yes. I recently watched that. That was also a really good season. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't watch 7. It's not good.
Yeah. That's what I was confused about. That I was like, 7 was your favorite? No. Big Brother Canada season 7 is not that great. But it was still dramatic. It still had a lot of drama.
And then we don't talk about 8.
Yeah.
8 doesn't exist. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think. Oh, this has nothing to do with Survivor Michigan, but who's your favorite challenge competitor, if you have one?
Oh.
There are correct and wrong answers.
I think I might end up giving you a wrong answer.
Depends.
I say Jordan. See, I knew you wouldn't be a Jordan fan.
He's not one of my favorites. I can respect the fact he's a great competitor, just a shitty person.
Yeah, no, admittedly he's an awful person, but he is drama. I do love the drama that he brings. So I do love Jordan, even though this last season I didn't like him too much, but do love Jordan. I also love Laurel. I love people who are dramatic and can actually put the money where their mouth is.
Yeah, Laurel, I have like an up and down relationship with Laurel because there's times where I don't like her, but then I watched her on X on the Peak and I'm like, okay, this is making me like really like Laurel because you just feel bad for her. Yeah. I'll tell you my favorite, and it'll probably reveal a lot about me. Cara Maria.
Oh, I do like Cara. I did get sick of her by the time she like kind of retired, but I want her back so badly.
I mean, she's rumored to be on the Challenge All Stars 4.
I know. I'm very excited. That whole cast looks fantastic.
I cannot wait. The All Star seasons have been some of the best.
So good. So good.
Yeah, and I also have like a bad taste in challenge competitors. Like another one of my favorites. I don't know if it's bad taste. Wes is also one of my favorites.
Love Wes. I'm obsessed with Wes as well.
Yeah.
I know I don't know if you should talk to Brie about the challenge. She just recently went on a binge like this past a couple months ago. She watched like all of it. She's a huge Wes supporter.
Yeah, I feel like if I ever get Brie on this, I'd be going on her about the challenge or K-pop in general.
Oh yeah, she would live for it. She would rather talk about that than Survivor.
Yeah, it's like, Brie, how was your Survivor? It was okay, great. So, who's your bias?
Yeah, she'd love it.
Yeah. I would say my most controversial challenge person I like that I can think of would probably be Devin.
Oh, I have a love-hate with Devin, but at the moment I like Devin. I like Devin because he is an instigator and he's good, or like he's decent. He's not like overly good,
Yeah.
but he's pretty good. I just hate the fact that like the same people are being in the alliances over and over again, and Devin is one of those people who like continues to get them to work together somehow. So for that reason, I'm not a fan of Devin. But Devin separated from that group. I love Devin.
Yeah, he's great. I did get annoyed with him with the whole targeting Johnny Bananas thing because that got old very quickly. But then they started working together, so it's like, yeah. Johnny's another up and down relationship. It's like,
yeah.
It's like Island era, no. Eras where he was sucking, yay.
Yeah, Johnny Bananas is good when he's not doing well.
Yes, he's great. Let's bring back that Sarah curse.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that just reminded me of Ashley. She's another great one.
Oh,
Millionaire Mitchell.
She hasn't done well enough in recent seasons, but I need her back to do well again. She's so good.
I just put her off for like confessional reasons.
Yeah, and Devon.
Like just people.
Devon's great confessionals.
Oh,
always.
She's amazing. I was so happy when she got on the challenge and she did well.
Yeah.
I think she was somewhat rumored to come back in her season, but then backed out a moment.
She was supposed to come back this past season,
okay.
but I think she didn't get cleared medically for some reason. I can't remember.
Okay.
She said it somewhere. She has a podcast. They had the Challenge MTV podcast. She says somewhere what exactly happened. But if she was going to be on the season, she would have been paired with Josh.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't.
Stop bringing him back.
Getting shitty partners. Josh is awful. Hate Josh.
Oh yeah, she has been getting like the worst partners.
Yeah.
Well, she's not had a good partner at all. Give her a good partner for once.
Yeah, honestly, give her someone who can just like help her coast.
Yeah. Bring her back in a rival season and give her like Cam.
Yeah, for real.
I was gonna say something else now. I can't remember. I guess it's probably a good time to end the podcast, considering we stopped talking about Michigan like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So, Nick, thanks again for coming on, taking time out of your busy schedule to come on board. Any final words you want to give to the viewing audience?
Not really. I just hope you guys tune in and enjoy the rest of the season.
Yeah, and we wonder what you will experience being on the jury. I'm going to laugh at Sam's at the end, and you're the one vote that doesn't cause them to win.
Oh, God. I won't spoil it.
I'm just expecting.
Just know if that happens, pure joy.
Poetic justice. It's like, this should have been you. This should have been me writing. This should have been you writing my name 3 years ago. So now karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
Remember that meme?
Oh, God.
Well, bye, everyone. We'll see you for another Michigan review next